Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Hallie and I'm so happy that you're here. So as most of you know, I began my reading journey last October 2023, and I feel like I got to experience becoming a reader in such a special way because I got to share my experience from the very beginning with the book community, and I truly feel like there's no other community like the book community. But becoming a reader and being surrounded by so many other people that also just love books and are so sweet and encouraging has just been so much more than I ever could have asked for, to be completely honest. It's just been such an amazing experience. Recently, I've seen a couple of people doing the BookTube Newbie Tag, and I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for me to answer some of the BookTube Newbie questions and also do kind of like a little Q&A of separate questions that you guys asked as well. So I posted a community post on YouTube, and then I also posted on my Instagram stories and asked you guys what are some questions, both bookish or just personal questions that you guys wanted to ask me. Like, what do you want to know about me? What do you want to know book-wise? Like, get to know me personally, because I feel like in the last 3 months, there are so many of you who are new. So I feel like I haven't really had the chance to sit down and just answer some questions that you guys might have about me so you guys can get to know me a little bit better. So yeah, that's basically what today's video is going to be. I'm going to do the first portion of this video answering some of the BookTube Newbie Tag questions because I feel like they're really good questions and it's a good intro to the video. And then in the second section of this video, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys asked me that are kind of book related or bookish type questions. The third section of this video will be all of the like personal questions that you guys asked me. And then lastly, there will be a fourth section of this video that will be answering all of your guys' like YouTube specific questions. And that will basically pertain to everything like YouTube channel wise, if that makes sense. Like, you guys just had a lot of questions about starting a channel and what's it like to be a booktuber and all of that stuff. So I am going to split this video up into those sections. That way, if you are looking for a specific section, it's easy to find, or you can just hang out with me through this whole video and we can get to know each other a little bit better. I'm like so excited for this because you guys are so sweet to me and I just feel like you know me to an extent, and I just want to continue to grow closer together throughout this year. So without further ado, I need to start answering questions or else I'm gonna be here all night. I already know that this is gonna end up being a very long video because we all know I love to talk. That being said, I'm gonna try not to ramble too much so that the video isn't too long, even though I already know it's going to be. Anyway, let's start off with all of the questions in the BookTube Newbie Tag. So I have all my questions right here in front of me on my laptop. First question is, when did you start reading and what inspired you to start reading? So as I just said, I started reading in October of 2023. I really feel like there's two factors to what made me want to become a reader. The first thing is definitely my friends Sam and Anna. They have been readers for a while, and actually for my birthday in 2022, my friend Anna bought me Book Lovers, and I hadn't read like a fiction book as an adult at that point, but she told me it was like one of her favorite books, and so I owned it for like a year and a half. Well, no, it was like a year. It was like a full year, and then I became a reader. It wasn't even like in my brain, I feel like, until she bought me that book, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I own a book, but then I still never read it, and I haven't read it yet. So it's a good thing that she loves me and isn't mad at me about that, but I'm gonna get to it, I think, this summer. But yeah, her and Sam played the biggest role in me becoming a reader because they just would talk about books together, and I feel like it's so different to know a reader in real life too, especially whenever you didn't grow up a reader. Like, getting into reading feels very intimidating when you're already an adult and you just know nothing about the world of books, so it really helped having friends that were kind of already in the world of books, if that makes sense. And then the second thing is, about like a month before I really became a reader, I randomly was recommended a BookTube video. I think it honestly was one of like Sarah Caroli or Destiny Sidwell, or maybe it was Haley Pham. I don't know. I feel like they're like the holy trinity of book videos. It was one of their videos, and that really introduced me to the world of BookTube. I didn't even know like book videos were a thing, honestly, before that. And from the moment that I watched my first book video, I was just fully in love with just everything about it, basically. And it just made books and the world of books feel so special. I don't know, this is already the longest answer for the first question. I'll get a little bit more into it with further questions, but yeah, I would say watching people's BookTube videos and my friends Sam and Banana are the two things that got me into reading. The second question is, what books/series got you into reading? So the very first book that I read that really sparked my love for reading was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I went into that book completely blind, and yes, it is kind of sick and twisted, and definitely look up trigger warnings for that book, but it kept me on my toes. It had romance. I'd never read spice in a book before. I didn't know that was a thing. I did not expect that at all. I don't know, I just loved it. I literally read it in 2 days. That was the fastest I'd ever read a book before in my life, and after I finished that book I was craving more. So that was my first book that I read as an adult reader, and I rated that 5 stars because I was just, it was so good. So yeah, that's the first book. The next question is, what books do you like to read? So far I am really enjoying anything with romance in it. First of all, I'm a big romance girly. I love romance, and recently I have been in my fantasy era. I read Fourth Wing and loved it, and then I read Powerless and Divine Rivals. I also read Caraval, which I really enjoyed. So far all of my fantasies that I've read have been really, really good. I think that I can attribute that though to me getting such good book recs from all of the book influencers. I feel like now is a great time to become a reader because there are so many people that can recommend you great books, and especially as a beginner reader, it's so nice to have so many books back to back that I just love. And then I feel like farther down the line I will kind of branch off and try and find my own book recs or go for something that I haven't heard anyone talk about. But as a beginner and knowing nothing about books, there is so much comfort in the safety net of people's book recommendations. It just has been so amazing, and I have had so many good reads one after another so far, so I'm really, really enjoying that. Also, I know a part of the BookTube Newbie Tag is showing your book collection and stuff, and even though I've only been reading for 3.5 months now, I have already amassed a huge book collection, and I actually just did a whole video on my entire physical TBR because one of my goals this year is to read 70% of my physical TBR if possible. So if you want to see my entire physical TBR, everything that I own up to this point, you can go watch that. It's an hour-long video. I can't do all that right now, but I have done that. So if you want to see my entire book collection, you can go watch that. The next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite author? And I actually love this question because all the time when I'm reading books, I just think to myself, how do you come up with this? So I think that what I would ask my favorite author, which right now I think is Lauren Roberts. Powerless is my first 6-star read. I think about Peyton and Kai every single day of my life. So I think that what I would ask her is just do the ideas just come to you? And when you see it in your brain, is it so hard to piece together the entire timeline of a book? And I know that she's writing a series right now, so it's are you already thinking about what's gonna happen books down the line, or does it just come to you last minute? Or how does all of that work? Because it makes no sense to me, and it's actually crazy that someone can think of all these stories and build an entire world from nothing. That's crazy. That's probably what I would ask, is just how do you do it? Which is a loaded question, but that's what I would ask, is just literally how. The next question is, why do you love reading? And honestly, I feel like there's no simple way to answer this question, but essentially I just feel there truly is no other experience similar to reading a book and getting lost in a world. I feel because it takes you so much longer to go through a story, and you can read characters' thoughts and really put yourself in the shoes of the character. It's just the most immersive experience. Even whenever you watch movies that really get you into it, I feel it still doesn't even feel as gut-wrenching and as real and as encapsulating as reading a book. And especially for me, because when I read, I can visually see it as well. It feels I'm also watching a movie, so it's I get that experience of watching a movie while also getting that incredibly just immersive experience of reading and being in the character's shoes, and just I love reading because there is truly nothing else like reading a great book for the first time and losing yourself to the world of the book. The next question is, what is your favorite genre? I would say right now my favorite genre would be romantasy for sure. I really like just regular old rom-coms, but something about, and I said this in my recent vlog, but something about the tension in romantasies, there's nothing like it. I will read a good romantasy, after I read Powerless, it's like every romance book is so good, but then at the end I'm like, I just wish there was more tension. Like it's just so good and nothing compares to it. The next question is, what are your favorite books? So obviously Powerless by Lauren Roberts, as I have already mentioned 10 times in this video. Other than that, I really love Fourth Wing. Two of my favorite romance books are by Stephanie Archer, and it is the Vancouver Storm series. It's a hockey romance series, and right now only the first two books are out, but it's Behind the Net and then The Fake Out. Those were my only two books that I've read from Stephanie Archer, and they were both 5 stars for me. So I really like those books as well. I'm trying to think like what else. Oh my god, what else I loved is the Good Girls Guide to Murder series. That, so good. I love Holly Jackson's writing, and she's like the queen of a good plot twist, I feel like. So far I've only read the novella Killjoy and then the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So I still have 2 more books left in that series, and then I really want to read Five Survive before her next book comes out later this year. So definitely really like Holly Jackson for like thriller vibes. The next question is, what is unique about your channel? And I honestly feel like it's so hard to be like, oh, I'm unique because of this and I'm unique because of that, because I feel like I'm just trying to say like what's so great about it here. I don't know. This question feels kind of weird to answer, but for me, the most important things in my videos are that I just come across as real and honest as possible. Like I am a new reader, and so a lot of times I don't really know what I'm talking about, or I don't really know what I'm doing. I just am trying to share my newfound love for books and reading and experience it all with you guys. I feel like another thing is that I am a young mom. I have 2 kids, and I'm just balancing being a stay-at-home mom, having kids, having my own hobbies, and still being my own person. I also talk a lot in my videos about having ADHD and trying to love reading, which can be very difficult at times because it is so hard for me to focus. Like it's so hard for me to focus sometimes because my brain is just like literally everywhere. So yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is that I am just trying to be real, and I don't know what I'm doing. I say all the time, I'm just here to have a good time. So that's the biggest thing, is just being real and exploring how to have hobbies as a young mom, and while you have mental health issues and ADHD and just real life things, it's like you can't always just sit down and have an aesthetic week-long reading journey and everything is just perfect. Like that's just not how my life is. But yeah, did that make sense? I'm a mom. I have ADHD. I also have depression and anxiety, but I like to try and have fun, cute hobbies, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here to have a good time. So yeah. That's basically what you're getting with my channel. The next question is, what about having a BookTube channel will be the biggest challenge? And honestly, the biggest challenge is just like time management, and that has a lot to do with my ADHD. I am horrible with time management, and so just having the hobby of reading alone is kind of hard with ADHD because I won't think about reading until like 10 p.m. whenever I've finished doing 20 million other things around the house, and I don't realize how late it is, and then at that point I really want to read, but then I stay up all night reading because then I hyperfixate on the book that I'm reading and I don't plan well for the next day, so then I wake up tired, and then add on top of that like recording everything and talking about my reactions and editing time and all of that stuff. That has definitely been one of the biggest struggles, is just figuring out better time management skills whenever I have ADHD and it's kind of working against me a lot of the times. Yeah, I would say that's like the biggest struggle. Those are all of the BookTube newbie questions that I had written down. So I am going to move on to a few bookish questions that you guys asked me either on my community post on YouTube or on my stories on Instagram. The first question is, would you like your kids to become readers? I would absolutely love it for my kids to become readers. I think that when they're obviously like older, I'll probably get them like the little kids Kindles. I feel like as a kid, I would have loved that if my parents had introduced me to books. I would have loved having my own little e-reader like that, and it's great because I don't think that kids would take care of physical books the way that adults do, and so I feel like for kids it's portable, you know, they're not gonna rip the pages or drop them in water, like something like that, you know. So probably when they're older I will get them some sort of e-reader. I would just love for them to get the chance to experience reading at a young age and just really get to immerse themselves in that. Obviously technology is going to be a big part of their lives, but I would love for them to just have it almost just normal for them to be reading. Like, I would love it for them if they could just grow up and it would be like second nature to turn to a book if they didn't have anything else to do. I don't know. I just can't wait until they're like old enough to read books and talk to me about their books. And I feel like it'd be so cute whenever they're older to have little reading nights where we're all just cuddled up together, reading our own book and just have cozy little nights like that. And hopefully they like it. If not, I'm not, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world because I went my whole childhood without reading and now I love reading. So the next question is, are there any books that you're nervous about reading because they intimidate you, like too many pages, too hyped up, afraid you won't like it, anything like that? Definitely. There are a couple different ones and for different reasons. The first one that I would for sure say would be A Little Life by Hana Yanagihara, I think is the author. I want to read that book so bad because so many people just say that it is the best book that they've ever read, but it also is the worst because it just rips you apart emotionally. So I would say I'm very afraid to read that book because I don't know what it will do to my mental health whenever I finish the book. And everyone just says to make sure that you're in like a really good headspace before you start that book. So yeah, that has definitely made me afraid to start that book. The other books that I would say are some of Sarah J. Maas's books are so thick. For example, some of the books at the end of the Throne of Glass series, even some of the books at the end of ACOTAR, the Crescent City books, like those are some thick boys. And I've never read a book that big, so I don't know, especially with my ADHD, if I can hang on that long. Like, the story is gonna have to be so engaging, and so I am a little bit afraid that it will be really hard for me to get through them because I'm already so easily distracted. So I don't know, that will be very interesting whenever I read my first long book like that because I genuinely don't know how my brain will do. That's so funny. The next question, speaking of Sarah J. Maas, is have you started the ACOTAR series yet, and will it be in a reading vlog? So a couple weeks ago, I made a community post and I basically made a poll asking you guys if I should read Throne of Glass first or ACOTAR first, because for the longest time I was set in stone, like I'm gonna read Throne of Glass first and then ACOTAR and then Crescent City. But every time that I would post a video saying that, there were so many of you saying like, please read ACOTAR first. That's the way you have to read it. It's so much better. And so I posted a poll and I was like, listen, whatever this answer is how I'm gonna read it because I am so conflicted now. I'm so conflicted. I don't know what to do. People are telling me different things, so I made a poll and ACOTAR won. So I will be switching up my game plan. I'm gonna read ACOTAR first. I actually am going to be starting it this coming week, which I'm so excited about. I, of course, will be vlogging it because it is one of the most highly requested books that you guys want me to read, so I would never leave you hanging like that. But yeah, I'm gonna start it this week. The next question is, if you could pick one book to be turned into a movie/TV series, what one would you pick, and would you want it to be live action or animated? And I love this question. That's literally such a good question. I feel like that's kind of hard because there's a couple, like there's some books that I love, but I'm like, you cannot turn that into a movie because you'll ruin it. You ever read a book and you're just like, no one could ever recreate this experience in any other format and like really do it justice? Like Powerless, I don't know if I would want that to be turned into a show unless it was done by like HBO, you know? I feel like my 6-star, 5-star reads can only be done by like HBO because they're gonna do it justice. Like Fourth Wing, I only want a movie or TV show if HBO was gonna do it because I'm gonna need Game of Thrones vibes. If it's not top tier like Game of Thrones, I don't want it. I simply don't want it. I will look the other way and pretend like it doesn't exist, you know? That being said, I feel like one book that would be really good if done right is Divine Rivals. I feel like the typewriter scenes could be so cute and like it could also be kind of intense and like cool with the war scenes and like everything that goes on. And I don't know, I love that book so much. I still need to read Ruthless Vows, but I feel like that could be one that could be a really good movie. I don't think it could be a TV show as well as it would be done as a movie. And I would definitely want that to be live action. I feel like it could just be so cool. I feel like rom-coms, like if it was made into a movie, it might kind of ruin it for me because there's a lot of like in rom-coms and stuff like that cheesiness that I feel like I only like it in book format. Like if someone on screen were to say that, I would low-key kind of get the ick. But like, because I'm reading it in a book, I'm like, oh my god, it's so cute. Like, it's so cute. I have butterflies. So 2 different vibes. You know, that's what I'm saying. Some things should just be left in book format, but then some things deserve a moment on screen if it can be done right. That was a great question. The next question is, what is your top romance/romantasy book as of now? This one I kind of have answered, so I'll just go over it quickly. My top romance books would definitely be the Hockey Romances by Stephanie Archer, because like I said, both of them were 5-star reads for me. I absolutely just loved them both so much. And then obviously my top romantasy would be Powerless by Lauren Roberts, because that's my first 6-star read ever, my only 6-star read as of now. So top tier, like so good. The next question is, who are your auto-buy authors? I feel like for sure Stephanie Archer, Lauren Roberts, Holly Jackson, basically all the people that I've been mentioning, because I feel like those are the only good examples I have right now because I have loved their books so much. Yeah, I feel like those 3 pretty much would be my top 3 auto-buy authors right now. Like, I love their books enough to like trust that whatever they put out is gonna be just so good. The next question is, what is your biggest tip for all bookworm newbies out there? I love this question because same, hashtag same. My biggest tip would be, what would my biggest tip be? Okay, my biggest tip would be to start off by getting a couple of different books instead of just one that you're like currently in the mood to read. Only because when I very first started reading, I only had 2 books. I had Verity and then I had Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And after I finished Verity, I immediately wanted to continue reading, and all I owned was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is a literary fiction, and I didn't know that going into it. And I also just had never read a literary fiction before, obviously. And so I feel like I didn't know it at the time, but I wasn't in the mood for that type of book. I feel like it did affect my reading and my reading experience for Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and maybe I would have liked it better if I read it at a different time or later in my reading journey. So it would have been a lot better if I already had a couple of different books to choose from, but that's also because I feel like I am kind of a mood reader. Like, I have to be in the mood. I can't just like make myself read books because I want to get through it. Like, I have to be in the mood for the book or else I cannot do it. So that would be like one thing. And then also I would say definitely don't start off with anything too serious and like long, because for me personally, I feel like the book had to be extremely engaging, like plot wise, or have a really good romance and just have overall easier writing, or else but again, this might be ADHD as well, but if it wasn't, I just had such a hard time focusing and like staying invested in the story. So those would be my 2 things, is just try and make it easier on yourself and just get like little funsy reads, have multiple different options. That way, if you're not fully feeling whatever you're reading, you don't get discouraged from reading as a whole, and you can try out a different book, and maybe like you're just not reading the right book for you at that moment. And it's not that you're not a reader, you're not into reading, and you don't have to feel disappointed in yourself. You just try something else. I feel like I did not answer that question well, but we're just gonna keep chugging along. The next question is, what is the best part of your reading journey so far? I feel like I haven't had the most normal experience in becoming a reader, like I said, because I've been sharing my experience online with you guys, but genuinely one of the best parts about my reading journey so far has been the book community. It's just so cool to like get to talk to so many people that also love the same thing that I love. I feel like that's so uncommon, because as an adult in general, like it's so hard to make friends, right? Like if you don't have friends from high school, where do you meet people? If you're not in school and you don't work, like I don't work outside of my house. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So it's like, where am I gonna meet new people? I don't. My friends are my kids and then the ones that I have from high school. So it's like, I'm not gonna meet new people. I'm just not gonna do it. So entering this world of people who also love the same thing that I love and are just so nice. Like you guys are so nice. It literally makes me cry whenever I'm like reading your guys' comments, because like we all are here because we love books, and I just love that so much. So definitely just joining the book community in general has been one of the best parts of my reading journey so far. But the other thing has just been like finding different worlds and characters that I love so much. I'll be like going about my day-to-day life and I'll just randomly think about a scene with Peyton and Kai or something that he said about her eyes, and I'm just like, oh, I cry. So that has been really cool, just like finding characters and quotes and just things that stick with you. It's kind of, if you've never read a book that you love that much, it's so hard to understand. But once you have read a book that just gets to you, it's just so crazy that a story can like affect you that much and really stick with you. So that also has been very cool. Just like losing myself in these worlds that like somebody made up in their brain. That's the craziest part, is like somebody made that up. The next question is, would you prefer a Kindle or a physical book? And this is a hard question because I have been a real Kindle girly recently, but I honestly feel like I wouldn't be able to completely choose one over the other. There's definitely certain times where I will be way more in the mood to read on my Kindle or way more in the mood to read a physical book. Like if I'm laying in bed or if I want to take a bath, obviously, like those are times that I want to choose my Kindle instead. But like sitting on the couch and reading during the day or like reading outside, like it's just nothing compares to holding a physical book. I feel like it's part of the reading experience to like feel the book in your hand and like read the physical copy. So I don't know, they both have their pros and cons, and I feel like I prefer them each in different scenarios, if that makes sense. But I definitely love both of them. The next question is, what is your most anticipated read of 2024? I think we all know what this answer is going to be. I have to say Reckless by Lauren Roberts, because I just cannot cope with the way that that book ended. I literally, if you watch that vlog, you know, I literally finished that book and I felt like I was living in a dream. First of all, it was like 2 in the morning because I couldn't stop. Like I had to know how it ended, but I just felt like I was gonna wake up and be like, was last night real? I've been in a state of denial since I finished that book. That, and obviously getting into the Sarah J. Maas world, I am so excited to get into that. Those would probably be the ones I'm most excited to read this year. The next question is, what was your top favorite book from 2023? It's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. The next question is, would you ever do a video of you reading popular mangas? Honestly, I have been contemplating this because if you don't know, my husband Mark loves reading manga and comics, and I have read a couple of mangas before. One of them was really, really funny, and then the other one was just like, I didn't love it as much as Mark loved it, but he has a couple of series that he really, really thinks that I'll like and wants me to try, so I have been considering doing that for a video, but I don't know yet. Let me know if you would like be interested in seeing that. The next video is, what are your reading goals for 2024? And I don't want to go too in deep with these because I am going to be posting my book journal video sometime after this, and I kind of go over my goals a little bit more in that video. But number wise, I think I set my reading goal to 50 books because I didn't want it to be so high that I'm like disappointed in myself, because I know it's not about the number of books that you read, but something that works really well in motivating me with ADHD is setting goals for myself to reach. Like that just motivates me more than anything. So that is the main reason that I like setting goals like that, because they genuinely work for me. I just feel like if I were to read 50 books in my first full year as a reader, that would be like a huge thing. Like that just seems like a crazy amount of books. So yeah, my reading goal is 50 books. Another goal that I have reading wise this year is to try to replace my habit of like going to my phone whenever I am bored or have nothing to do, to automatically like, oh, what should I read? Like I want it to just be a habit that I have and not me necessarily having to remind myself that, oh, I should read some today. Like I just want to kind of naturally replace that habit, like instead of searching for a show to watch or going on TikTok or Instagram, like where I just automatically kind of lean more towards books for entertainment, but it comes naturally. So that's a huge goal. Another huge goal is to make reading the last thing that I do before bed instead of, like I said, going on my phone or watching a movie. I want to try and like a lot of nights replace that with reading until I'm ready to go to bed and then just like going to sleep, because I just feel like that's a lot healthier for your brain. A lot of my reading goals are just habit wise. Like I just want it to become a natural part of my schedule, I guess. And maybe that has to do with me not becoming a reader until I was in my 20s. It doesn't come very naturally to me, but I love it so much that I want it to come naturally to me, if that makes makes sense. The next question is, how do I get into fantasy? I want to, but I'm scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. There's definitely fantasies that are a lot easier to read. Me personally, I feel like Fourth Wing is a great fantasy to start with because it gets into the action really, really quickly. It has an amazing romance in it as well. It has plot twists. The world building is very easy to understand. You don't have to memorize places and names and like whatever and whatever for the plot to make sense. So it's a very easy fantasy in my opinion. That was my first, I consider, real fantasy that I read. The only other fantasy I had read was Harry Potter, and I like don't consider that not a real fantasy, but you know what I'm saying. I just feel like Fourth Wing was my real introduction into fantasy books as an adult. So I feel like it was a great place for me to start, and I'm still loving the world of fantasy. So I feel like that is a great place to start if you haven't ever really read fantasy as an adult. The next question is, since you started reading, what in your life has changed? What is different now versus before? So definitely two answers come to mind. Obviously, I have you guys. Now I have an entire little community that we've built surrounding books. I feel like I just have this whole new group of friends that I didn't have before and I never could have seen myself having. So that in itself is like so crazy and so cool. The other biggest thing is just like, I feel like I have so much more to do. Even though reading books isn't like necessarily doing much, because you get immersed in worlds, I feel like it just feels so much more rewarding than just like watching TV shows all the time or just sitting on TikTok, you know? Like whenever I have a good book that I'm looking forward to, it just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so much better to have a book to look forward to getting back into or to look forward to starting than just looking forward to like laying down and going on TikTok once the kids are asleep. It's like once they're asleep, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm gonna go on an adventure in a fairy world and like do this and do that. And like, it's just so different. And I have found myself slowly more and more craving reading books over watching movies or just going on my phone, or even like with audiobooks now, like finding myself listening to audiobooks throughout the day instead of just putting on a mindless show in the background, or like listening to music, which I love music. Okay. I love music so much, but I have definitely found myself like even today while I was doing my makeup, I literally listened to an audiobook. I love getting to look forward to re-entering the worlds that I'm in the books, if that makes sense. Next question is, how do you find time to read while also being a mom? Coming from a new mom, first of all, congratulations. It's so cutie that you're a new mom. I love the newborn stage. I hope that you're enjoying it. It's like the best time in the world. I mean, you're tired, but other than that, it's just like so cute and so snuggly. Anyway, my biggest thing is that Mark hangs out with the kids so much. Like if I am reading for a video and I have something to film, he like doesn't even hesitate. He's like, okay, I'll go hang out with them. Like no problem. I'm gonna go hang out with the kids. You just enjoy yourself, enjoy your book. So whatever. So shout out to having a extremely supportive husband who supports not only my now career, but also just my love for reading. Cause even if I'm not reading for a book, he'll just be like, do you want to go take a bath and like finish your book? Or do you want to just like go lay in the room and finish your book and I'll just do dinner and like put the kids to sleep? So definitely that helps so much because there's so many times where he just lets me live my best life and like have a break. Another thing is I just like squeeze in time where I can, and this a big role to play in that is, like I said, like swapping out things you would normally do to read. Like I would not be able to still watch the same amount of TV or like spend the same amount of time on my phone and get as much reading done as I am able to. Like when I wake up in the morning, if both of the kids are still asleep or if just Cody is awake and she's like snuggling in bed with me for a little bit before breakfast, instead of just like scrolling on my phone, I pick up my Kindle and I like search for something on Kindle Unlimited, or I like leave my book on my nightstand. That's like another thing, is I leave my book on my nightstand so that it's like readily available, because with your phone it's like it's always there. It's so easy to grab, and I feel like that's why I gravitate towards a lot, because it's convenient and mindless to just grab it if it's next to me. But I've been trying to like leave my book laying around to where it's like convenient for me to just like grab it and pick it up whenever, to kind of just like train my brain to reach for that instead of my phone. But yeah, so when I wake up early in the mornings, I will try to read a little bit there instead, or just, you know, swapping little times where you would normally be doing something else with reading. That also really helps. But obviously it will get easier and easier as your baby gets older too. It's not gonna be as easy with a newborn because they depend on you a lot more. Like my kids are toddlers now, so they play independently now. They don't need my hands-on help as much as they did whenever they were younger, obviously. So don't let that discourage you do either, because it's just not going to be the same as it is with me and my kids because they are older. So they don't need as much, like I said, just like hands-on help. Whereas a newborn, you do literally everything for them. You know, they don't move, like you do everything. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just read whenever you can, and however much you read is perfectly okay. There's not a certain amount of reading you need to get done to feel successful. You're doing great. The next question is, can you talk more about reading with ADHD or just a lot of distractions? And honestly, let me know if you guys would want this, because I really want to make a video on this, like a whole separate video of just like my tips on reading with ADHD so far, because I feel like already in just the few months that I've been reading, I have kind of learned different ways to help out with reading and staying productive, and not staying productive, but just like staying focused, I guess, on like what I'm doing and like not letting my mind wander. And obviously, like I'm not the only one with ADHD who also happens to love reading, which is just so funny because ADHD I feel like directly conflicts with the hobby of reading. You're gonna sit there for hours and just stare at the page. Yeah, I have been considering doing a whole separate video on reading with ADHD, so let me know if you guys would be interested in hearing more about that. But yeah, reading with ADHD is definitely a struggle at times, or most of the time, honestly. You have to really, really be loving the book that you're reading, and you know, I literally just almost started daydreaming. Even just like talking and like doing this is, my brain feels so exhausted whenever I finish talking because it's so hard for me to follow a single train of thought. But yeah, it can definitely be a struggle reading, and I've made mistakes like in my 24-hour challenge. I didn't know that for a lot of people with ADHD, caffeine actually has the opposite effect, and so I chugged an energy drink and it put me to sleep. And then I was crying at the end of that video because I was like, I am a failure, you know. I definitely have been considering making a video on that though. So if you want better answer than that and like a whole separate video, let me know down below in the comments and I will do that for you guys. Okay, so it looks like those are all of the bookish questions that you guys asked me. So now we're gonna move on to some of the personal questions that you guys asked me. The first question is, when and how did you and Mark meet, and what made you fall in love? Which this is such a like little cutie question. I love. Basically, me and Mark met in high school. I was 16 and he was 17. We met our senior year of high school in math class, and basically I walked into the class after him and our teacher had like the seating chart up on the screen, and I guess he has now told me that whenever I walked into class, the first thing he thought to himself is, oh my god, she's so pretty, I hope I sit next to her. And then the teacher read off the seating chart and I got sat right across from him at the same like group. Our teacher had all the desks in groups of 3, and so at our table I happened to get seated right next to my best friend James, who I talk about all the time. He has the best book recs, but I got sat right next to James, and then Mark was right across from me and next to James. So James has like been there since day one. He witnessed the whole thing. But yeah, so we met in math class, and literally like 24 hours before that I had sworn off boys for my entire senior year because I was like, they're all just dumb, they're all just stupid, and I don't want anything to do with any of them. So then I come into math class, sit down in front of Mark, and he goes, so you're Hallie? And I was so surprised that he got my name right on the first time, because usually when people see the spelling of my name they call me Haley or Holly. And so I said that, I was like, oh, I'm so surprised that you got my name right on the first try. And then he said something else like stupid and then he was like, can I have your number? And then I was like, no. I straight up was just like, no, you can't have my number. I hate men. I hate men. You're all dumb and I want nothing to do with you. So then he proceeded to ask me for my number every single day for like the next 3 weeks. And then finally, I think I DM'd him on Twitter and I was like, hey, can I have your number? So he gave me his number, but then he showed me the text. He like has our text saved from senior year when we first met, and I guess I texted him, and then the first thing I said was, I still am not going on a date with you though. I knew what I was doing. That's how we met. We met in math class senior year, and then definitely what made me fall in love with him is just like, he was so funny. When he first like asked me for my number, I already was having the hardest time saying no because I was like, oh my god, he's just so cute. Like, he's just so cute. But then that first day, especially because I was also sitting next to my friend James, who is just like so funny, we just spent the entire class for the next all year just like laughing because we were all just like cracking jokes left and right. And I could tell from the beginning that Mark was different in the way that I don't know, he just I genuinely have never felt love from a person the way that Mark has shown me love, and I feel like he really taught me what true love really is. Yeah, I just love him so much. So yeah, I gave him my number, and then a month later we had Bowie's baby name picked out. Yeah, we were picking out baby names in high school. I picked out the name Cody and then we picked out the name Bowie together. So that's kind of crazy that we now have a boy and a girl and they have both of the names that we chose in high school. So yeah. The next question is, how old were you when you had your kids and how did you feel when you found out? So I was 18 when I got pregnant with Bowie and then 19 when I gave birth to him. And honestly, I was so happy whenever I found out. I always wanted to be a very young mom. I felt like it was just my purpose in life was to be a mom and be a stay-at-home mom. And honestly, as soon as I had him, I just felt so complete. I just feel like they are my purpose in life. And they're both the most caring, sweet little babies you will ever meet in your entire life. They're just so sweet and thoughtful and amazing. And I just love them so much. So yeah, they are truly my purpose in this life. And I wouldn't want to do anything other than just be their mom. That's just what I wanted to do. The next question is, who is your top 3 music artists and what is your favorite song / album from each? And this is such a good question. I love this question. Oh, I don't know if I could pick 3. I think I'm gonna have to pick 4. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could pick. When I tell you I love music so much and it's such a big part of my life, you don't even understand. I'm gonna cheat and say more than 3. They're just different vibes, okay? I'm just gonna tell you some of the people that I like listening to. I obviously love Beyonce, okay? Day one, love her. Rihanna, love her. Okay, those are like given, I feel like. I also love SZA. I love her so much. I listen to SZA every single day. I also absolutely love her. She has such a beautiful voice and her writing just is insane. Like, she is so lyrically talented. I love her. I also really love Rex Orange County, Harry Styles, obviously. Lately, I've been listening to this artist called Boy Pablo. Love, just so like good vibes. Also Lucky Day, Daniel Caesar. I recently have been listening to a lot of Yeba. I love Sir, obviously Frank Ocean. How could you not? And obviously Giveon. How could you not be absolutely obsessed with Giveon? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's so many artists. That's way more than 3 and sue me. The next question is, what are your comfort movies and TV shows? Which I also love this because one thing about me is I'm gonna pick a bedtime movie. It has to be the right vibe to fall asleep to. For cartoons, one of my biggest comfort shows is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think that show is actually part of my DNA. At this point, I literally have like an Avatar hoodie. It's part of my personality at this point. For movies, that's a lot harder. This is gonna sound so random, but I love The Grinch. Me and my family all can agree that The Grinch is my spirit animal, and I just like do things throughout the day, and my mom was just like, you know who else would say that is The Grinch? That's so random. But like, I'm just like grumpy green hairy man. For romances, one of my favorite romance is The Vow with Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams. It's about like this married couple who get in a car accident and she loses her memory and she doesn't remember that they're married. She doesn't even know who he is. So he basically has to like get her to fall in love with him. And I swear I've seen this movie so many times. I just watched it the other day in the bath and I was like sobbing as if I didn't know what was gonna happen. Still just cry every single time. So I love that. I also love You've Got Mail. I feel like if we're talking comfort movies and TV shows, it's definitely just things from my childhood. Like, I love fall asleep to like old movies and stuff like that. The next question is, what was your dream job growing up? My entire life, I was convinced that I was going to become a singer and become a superstar, and in my head, I was the next Beyonce. In high school, I almost tried to try out for The Voice, but then I got too scared, obviously, because anxiety. It's not really great for wanting to perform in front of thousands of people on stage. So never did that. But yeah, my entire life, I was just convinced that my only destiny was to become a singer. So yeah, for a little bit, I like thought maybe I could be an artist and stuff, but to my core, I always just like wanted to be a singer. The next question is, what was your favorite childhood book and your favorite book in middle/high school? Obviously, I don't really have like a favorite childhood book because I didn't read much like as a kid, but in middle and high school, the only series that I did read were Twilight and The Hunger Games, and it is so hard to choose between the two of those which ones I liked more. I would have to say Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm just gonna say both of those because they're the only two that I read, and those are also equally a part of my DNA because I loved them so much. And I also really loved the movies for both of those. So those just have a special place in my heart. Especially like now that I am a reader, they like have an extra special place in my heart because those are the only things that I read as a kid. So those are my only childhood reading memories. The next question is, what is your favorite lip gloss? Which I actually have it right here. It's the Tower 28 Shine On Lip Jelly in the color Pistachio. The next question is, would you consider posting day-to-day vlogs? I really do want to start incorporating other forms of content, I guess you would say, than just book related content. But I love books so much, and you guys obviously really love hearing me talk about books. I have been a little bit nervous to switch things up because I just didn't know if anyone really like wanted to see that. But yes, I would definitely consider posting vlogs like weekend in my life, a day in my life, just regular schmegular vlogs. The next question is, did you do school sports in high school? And did you have other hobbies / activities? So yes, my lipstick. I actually did track and field in high school and junior high. I was a little hurdler. So I ran hurdles. I did the 100 meter. Sometimes I did the 200 meter hurdles. And then one time my coach forced me to do the 300 meter hurdle, which is like, it was so hard. I hate the 300 meter hurdle. I actually stopped doing hurdles. I think it was my junior year because at one of the meets, I had such a bad fall. Like my foot got stuck on the hurdle and I like hit the floor so hard, like to the point, you guys, where I was running the race and my foot caught, I hit the ground, and the entire crowd went from cheering and everyone said, "Oh," like a movie. And then I got up and then I tried to finish the race, tripped on another hurdle. I still don't think I've recovered from that embarrassment, to be completely honest, but yeah, gave myself a concussion from that. I finished the race, went to like the medical tent thing, and they asked me to say the months of the year, and I just couldn't remember what came next. So yeah, I had a concussion from that, and then I think like later on that week I hit myself in the head with a cabinet or something and made the concussion even worse, which just, you know, leave it to myself to do that. That concussion was actually so bad looking back on it. There was one day at school where the bell rang and I like could not remember what class I was supposed to go to. I didn't have a phone at that point because I think I was grounded or something. And so I had to walk to the front office and like ask them what class I was supposed to go to because I just couldn't remember my schedule. Maybe that's why I have memory issues. But yeah, leave it to me to get that bad of a concussion from running hurdles. So embarrassing. As far as other hobbies, I feel like my main other hobbies are music related. I love singing, obviously. Still to this day, I love singing. I'm very painfully shy, so I really don't sing in front of people a lot. Usually when I'm doing anything, I'm playing like Adele or Yeba or Sam Smith or just someone that I can just like belt with. I also play guitar and piano. I haven't played guitar in a while because one, I've been doing my nails, and also I let my younger sister borrow my guitar because she wanted to practice, so I haven't even had one here in a while. And I haven't played piano in forever because I don't have room for like an upright piano or anything in my apartment, but I have been considering getting like an electronic keyboard maybe to keep here so I can at least play some, because I just like miss playing. There's something about when you have nothing else to do, just like sitting in front of the piano and making up a song. It's just so fun and it's so therapeutic. The next question is, who are your favorite booktubers? 3 of the main people that got me into reading are Haley Pham, Destiny Sidwell, Sarah Caroli. They are just so cutie patootie and I love watching them. But other booktubers I have been love watching recently are Alexa Ray, Faith's Reading Things, I think is her name. Yeah, Faith's Reading Things, Just Allie, Mattatails, Rachel Catherine. Yeah, so those are a few of the people that I really like watching and who just like overall inspire me to read and make content. And then the last question for this section is, how can we convince you to have a Patreon? We need to hang out. This is so cute of you, first of all. Second of all, I would love to eventually create a book club or something on Patreon where we can do things together. Like I actually was talking to Mark about this the other night, like how cool would it be if like once a month, or even if it wasn't every single month, but like if we had something where we did like a 24-hour reading challenge together, or like over a weekend, we tried to like all read a book one weekend and we like scheduled it out in advance so that we were like all free and we could like chat about the book all weekend and just do do like special little things, because one thing is I love talking to you guys in the comments. I've said this a billion times, but I just like appreciate you guys taking the time to comment. But sometimes it feels like that is kind of limited, whereas I feel like if we did a book club like that on Patreon or just like on something, I don't know, I feel like we would have the chance to get to know each other even better and just like form a more tight-knit community amongst ourselves, I guess, if that makes sense. So that's definitely something that I'm open to doing in the future and would like to do in the future. Let me know down below if any of you guys would want to do that sometime in the future. It probably wouldn't be for a while, but maybe eventually. Or that ends all of the like personal questions that you guys asked me. So the last section of this video is going to be specific YouTube related questions that you guys asked me. The first question is, what goes into creating a YouTube channel? What made you start one? And is YouTube your job? So this is kind of like a three-part question. So to start off with the first part, what goes into creating a YouTube channel? When I created my YouTube channel in 2019, I started with just recording with my phone. I used iMovie because Mark already had a Apple laptop and that software comes free in the laptop, but I'm pretty sure there's other free editing software for other laptops if you don't already have like a MacBook or something, because MacBooks are so expensive. That's just what I used because I already had one. But yeah, you can literally start with just your phone. I know that I upload all of my videos like in 4K and like try and have amazing quality and like whatever, but truly the content of your video is so much more important in my opinion than what you're recording on. People will end up watching you and subscribing to you way more based on like your video rather than like the quality of your video. I think like even if you just think about yourself watching videos, the deciding factor between you loving someone's video is not going to be the quality. It's going to be the person behind the camera. Can I relate to you? Do I like watching your videos? And if you do, that's what makes you subscribe. So don't worry about the quality of what you're recording on. For me, the biggest thing is just starting, you know, like that's one of the hardest steps because it's just scary to start. So if you just like record a little video on your phone and edit on a free software just so you can get like practice editing before you like invest in a crazy camera or like editing software, just like do some practice videos and record yourself, record a little mini vlog over the weekend or do something just so you can practice editing. The thing that made me want to start a channel, honestly, I don't know if it was anything specific. I have always loved YouTube. There's a video somewhere out there of me singing on YouTube whenever I was like 14, maybe like 13 or 14. I don't even know whose account I posted that on. It's just out there. So I've always loved YouTube and like wanted to do something like that or like become a singer, and maybe it's just the Leo in me, but I just always have wanted to be creative, and like making videos or singing or whatever is just like, I need that creative outlet. And so I think that that's why I love doing this, because it just fulfills that creative side of me. And then the last part, is YouTube your job? So just since October, probably, I would consider YouTube my job. My first job is just being a stay-at-home mom. That's generally all I do during the day, is just like be a stay-at-home mom. The next question is, what content did you used to make? So I used to make a little bit of everything, to be honest. My main thing was just vlogs. I also did a lot of beauty content. I had a couple hair videos. There was one video of me bleaching my hair that like popped off. My family keeps telling me to unprivate all of my videos that I made before, but I'm just like, I don't know if I want to unleash those to the wild. Like, I'm such a different person now. If you were to see those, I feel like you would feel like you're looking at two different people. So yeah, I made a couple videos of me bleaching my hair. A lot of you guys don't know this, but I shaved my head. So I made a video of me shaving my head in 2000, I think that was January of 2020. I shaved my head. A lot of different things. So that's kind of the content that I used to make. Just a little bit of everything. The next question is, you said you were at the 1,000 mark for a while, currently the same. What would you recommend someone do to get past that? So that's hard for me to answer because I basically started my YouTube channel in 2019. I hit 1,000 subscribers a little over a year of having my channel. So probably like 2020. And then from 2020 to last year, so literally like 3.5 years, I was at like 1,200. And I wasn't posting consistently. It wasn't my job at that point, and my kids were a lot younger also, and like that made it a lot harder to vlog and edit and whatever. So I wasn't posting consistently. And you know, a lot of people say that whenever you first start YouTube, you have to just like try out a bunch of different things and then see what sticks. And you know, I posted a ton of different types of content. I did room renovations, I did posted hair videos, makeup videos, vlogs, nail videos, like so many different things, and none of those stuck. And then I posted a book video and kind of took the time to rebrand myself a little bit, and that is what took off. But like that was after 4.5 years or almost 5 years of me trying different things. So it really does take time. Well, some people it doesn't take that long. That's the thing, is you just don't know. You don't know what is going to end up working for you. You don't know what is going to end up taking off. I don't know. You don't really know. Some people grow way faster. Some people grow way slower. You go through spurts of growing and then you grow slower. So it's really hard to say, but I would just say keep trying different content. Stay consistent is another big thing. I think a large reason why I stopped growing is because I stopped posting consistently. I know that that's like a big thing for the algorithm. Another big thing is the thumbnails. You obviously want people to click on your videos. So if you notice that thumbnail style that you're doing right now is not working, I would suggest maybe looking up the type of video that you're going to make and see what other people's thumbnails are and try and put your own take on that, or just something, because thumbnails do play a big role. It's the first thing that people see. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover, but people are going to judge your video on your thumbnail and see if they want to watch it based on the thumbnail. So thumbnails are very important as well. The next question is, how did you build your personal brand so quickly? I don't know. I don't know if I would say that it was quickly, but also I can see how it seems quickly because I privated my old videos, so you can't see the progression. If I can find them, I will insert them here, but a good example of what I mean by progression is my intros. So if I can find it, I'm gonna play you my different channel intros, and you can kind of compare like how they have changed over the years. So this is my very first YouTube intro ever. And then this, I think, was my second intro that I ever made. And then I went from that to this intro. And then I had that intro throughout probably like a year and a half or so. And then I privated all my videos, decided I wanted to go for a completely different vibe, because within the year that I wasn't posting, I feel like I grew so much as a person and kind of just like spent a lot of time with myself, getting to know myself. And I feel like that's one reason why I love like my color scheme and my intro and just like everything, is because I just know myself so much more. And so it feels like a way more accurate representation of me right now. And obviously years down the line, I might change my intro or change my colors or whatever, but that's just because you're always growing and evolving as a person. So then I made my newest intro, which you guys always see in the beginning of the videos, right whenever I decided to post a book video. So yeah, it does feel quickly, but I've been working on my channel and just, like I said, getting to know myself and perfect my vibe and figure out what kind of videos I want to make and practice editing. Like I have made hundreds of videos up until this point, so I've had a lot of practice editing, like hundreds of hours of footage, so I kind of know what I want the vibe of my videos to be and things like that. So don't put pressure on yourself to just like overnight pop off and have everything figured out and know exactly who you want to be and what vibe you want to be and have everything perfectly branded. Like it's most of the time not going to be overnight that you have everything figured out and laid out perfectly, and it's completely fine if you think you do and then you change it 100 times or, you know, whatever, because who cares? Make 10 intros if you want and then see which one performs best, or see which one you like the best, or see whatever. The next question is, what is your least favorite thing about being a YouTuber? Honestly, I would say my least favorite part is just a lot of times I feel guilty like doing things and not making content out of it. And this is kind of specifically geared towards being a booktuber. I am still trying to find the balance between being able to just read and enjoy books and reading and like wanting to record my reactions and make a video out of it and talk to you guys about it, because I love to talk and obviously I like love you guys. And so any book that I read, I'm gonna want to discuss and like share that experience with you guys. Sometimes I'll really want to start a book, but I won't be in the middle of a video and I won't be in the place to start a video, and so I won't read the book. And so that is a big goal I have this year too, is just to like let myself read and enjoy books, even if it's not for content, which I think is an even blurrier line for me because I did start reading on YouTube. And so, you know, you guys have have been here since the beginning of my reading journey. So I want to continue to share that with you. And so it is hard for me to read without making content about it and just like sharing that with you guys. But I don't want that to solely be what reading is about for me. So obviously I still enjoy reading so much, even whenever I'm doing it for a video, but I just like, I don't want to feel guilty if I want to read and not record it, because at the end of the day, reading is such a personal experience and you should be reading for yourself. That is what I would say is like the hardest thing, is just, you know, there's no set hours, there's no set clock out. You can really do it whenever. And so it's solely up to you to decide when you're gonna be recording and making content and whatever, and when you're not. And whenever you don't have someone else choosing for you, it is kind of hard to decide, like, is this the right decision to not record this moment, or is this, you know, whatever. So that's like the hardest part. And then the very last question is tips for starting a booktube. I'm starting one soon and I'm so nervous. Honestly, I feel that it can be very scary and intimidating, but honestly, my biggest tip would just be to be yourself, because the beauty in YouTube is that everyone makes their own channels themselves, and so everyone is different, and it's so hard not to put pressure on yourself to be like everyone else, because you see, you know, everyone else is successful, so you feel like, I need to be like this person, I need to be like this person because they're successful, so like I need to do that. But at the end of the day, what's really going to bring you success is your individuality and people seeing what you specifically bring to the table and like wanting to follow you for that reason. That is like the biggest thing. Also, record a couple videos to start off with, because whenever you're first getting into YouTube and into posting, and especially with book content, it's a very time consuming type of content. Trying to get ahead of your posting schedule will help you a lot. So before you post your first video, maybe have like a couple ready to post, and try and just like post once a week or something like that. Like figure out a posting schedule that works for you, and try and stay ahead of your videos so that you don't get too overwhelmed right in the beginning of posting. I hope all of that made sense. I have been talking for so long that I'm like, I don't even know if any of that made sense. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, I'm so sorry. If you have made it this far, you go. A round of applause. Truly. I hope that this was able to answer a lot of questions that you guys had. I hope you guys were able to get to know me a little bit better. I am so glad to have you all along with me, and I'm so excited for this next year to see where we grow together. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future content coming up. And I think that's it. I love you guys. I will see you in the next video. Bye.